You probably don't realize it, but if you know the right ways to listen, the human body has a lot to say. A number of scientific studies have revealed that some seemingly random physical traits can tell you a lot more than you might think about that new friend or acquaintance, even if it's not always clear just why. Here are 10 strange things most people don't know their bodies say about them. As you can probably imagine, more scientific studies have been done about female breasts than are probably necessary. But some have produced some interesting tidbits of information about how breast size relates to women's mental health, habits, and personalities. Women with larger breasts are unfortunately more likely to struggle with eating disorders and have lower self-esteem. They're also likely to spend more money, be more of the caring nurturer type, and have higher IQs than their smaller-breasted counterparts, who strangely don't seem to be the subject of nearly as many studies. But women with small breasts who are considering augmentation should take one last fact into account. A 2007 study published in the Annals of Plastic Surgery found that those who undergo breast enlargement procedures are statistically 3 times more likely to commit suicide. The eyes may be the window to the soul, but facial reading expert Jean Hainer says that the eyebrows are just as important. She helps Hollywood directors cast actors whose faces match the personality types of their characters, and says that both ancient Chinese medicine as well as Western medicine have determined that there's more to eyebrows than meets the eye. Hainer goes so far as to suggest that changing the look of your eyebrows can have an effect on your personality over time. Strong, thick eyebrows communicate forwardness and assertiveness, not to mention tons of self-confidence. Those with thinner eyebrows may be indecisive, averse to taking risks, and be less confident in themselves. High, curved eyebrows communicate trustworthiness and drive, while those with straight eyebrows tend to be intellectual and somewhat emotionally detached. And if your eyebrows are excessively plucked or groomed, be careful. You may be telling others you're a narcissist. The size of one's feet has always been rumored to correlate to other physical characteristics, especially in men. There actually is no connection between foot size and penis size, but how big your feet are can tell you some other interesting things, like how long you're likely to live. A Swedish study found that those at either extreme, with shoe sizes of 5 and below and 14 and above, had the shortest life expectancies, anywhere from 63 to 69 years old. By contrast, those with size 10 shoes could expect to grow as old as 77, while size 11s had a top life expectancy of 82 years old. Strangely, another study may have found one of the reasons behind that myth about big feet and penis size. An examination of the UK's largest website for those seeking extramarital affairs revealed that those with shoe sizes of 10 and above were 3 times more likely to cheat on their partners. Meanwhile, those of average foot size, between shoe sizes 7 and 9, were most likely to be faithful. If you want to get to know more about a female friend, having a nice conversation is generally a better way to go about it than staring at her rear end. However, if you're able to get a glance or two, you just might be able to gather some insight into her overall fitness by noting the posterior shape. This is because fat distribution is important to health, and much of the body's fat is unfortunately stored where we sit. Normal bodies are programmed to either store excess fat around the stomach or in the rear end, and particularly in the case of women, having an excess of fat around the posterior actually paints a better general picture of health. This is because the fatty acids, which can be extremely harmful to the heart, liver, and other organs, are stored as far away as possible from the places on the body where they can do the most harm. Unfortunately, the same doesn't seem to hold true for men, and after women go through menopause, they lose the added layer of protection against heart disease that having a plump butt provides. According to science, people with dark-colored eyes enjoy a number of advantages over their lighter-eyed peers. Studies have shown that those with brown eyes tend to drink less, are less likely to contract degenerative diseases of the eye, and are also at lower risk for skin cancer. On the other hand, light-eyed people have been found to be less at risk for skin-related autoimmune disease, and also to be more assertive and competitive than those with dark eyes. However, color isn't the only thing about your eyes that can give away inside information. A Swedish study recently examined crypts and contraction furrows, which together make up the array of lines, dots, and swirls in your iris. The genes that control the formation of the iris before birth also help to shape the frontal lobe of the brain, which controls personality. And indeed, researchers found that much could be learned about a subject's personality by studying their irises. Those with densely packed crypts were generally more trusting, warm-hearted, and sympathetic, while those with excessive contraction furrows were found to be neurotic, impulsive, and more likely to display addictive behavior. It seems the eyes truly are the windows to the soul, and there's certainly much more to learn from this field of study. Your face can also give away a lot about you, beyond your general mood and whether you've recently spent a lot of time in the sun. Like your fingers, your facial structure is affected before birth by exposure to testosterone and other hormones, and the height of your cheekbones in particular can give new acquaintances a sneak preview of your personality. Those with higher cheekbones had higher exposure to testosterone in the womb and are more likely to be highly assertive if not aggressive. One study of college athletes also found that leadership traits could be accurately assessed by the width of a subject's face, with wider faces translating to higher places in the leadership hierarchy, the same trait that similar studies have also found in capuchin monkeys. Other facial characteristics can help to give a picture of overall health. Experts say that carrying excess fat on your face is a much stronger indicator of poor health than other popular metrics, such as body mass index. A golden tone to the skin can indicate a strong immune system and fitness, while a rosy blush can also mean good circulation, as well as increased fertility in women. Since we tend to find rosy cheeks appealing, it's been speculated that this trait evolved to give women an edge in attractiveness when they are most likely to conceive. A recent UK study found a curious connection between the width of a woman's hips and her sexual behavior. It may seem unfair to assume that curvy women are more sexually active, but it turns out that the stereotype may not just be the result of wishful thinking on the part of men. There may be more than a grain of truth to it. The study was conducted with a pool of nearly 150 women ages 18 to 26. They were polled about their sexual attitudes and behavior, and several body measurements were taken, including hip-to-waist ratio. It was found that the number of total partners each participant had was largely determined by how many one-night stands they had engaged in, and that women with hips wider than about 14 inches were much more likely to hook up much more often. Researchers theorized that this type of behavior might actually be biological, as sex and childbirth are much less traumatic for women with wider hips. It appears that, at least for a large segment of the population, hips really don't lie. Your navel also contains a lot more information than it's given credit for, especially if you're a woman. One Finnish study concluded that the size, shape, and positioning of a woman's navel can be used to assess her overall reproductive fitness and even the risk for certain genetic conditions which she may pass on. But another study out of Duke University has even more specific things to say about the navels of certain types of athletes. When it comes to runners and swimmers, it was found that it's not the total height that matters, but the position of the belly button, which is best able to predict how fast an athlete can go. A higher belly button indicates a lengthened lower body, which should be suited for the track, but a lower belly button usually means a longer torso, which will make all the difference in the pool. Your feet can also reveal a wealth of information to a trained eye in several interesting ways. Reflexologist Jane Sheehan has written 2 books on the subject and holds workshops across the UK imparting her knowledge. While some of her assertions may sound a little odd, many of them have a medical basis. For example, pale feet can indicate weak circulation, which can have a number of underlying causes. Feet that are extremely pale could point to exhaustion, which could be in immediate need of treatment. But Sheehan also states that emotional reactions result in instinctive tightening and relaxing of tendons in the feet that we never even think about. She claims that the neck of the big toe flushes when one is embarrassed, just like the face and neck. Also, that whether the second toe touches the floor when standing indicates whether a person is satisfied in life, and that the fourth toe will twitch if one is uncomfortable with their relationships. It may sound a bit unscientific, but Sheehan says she can read a patient's personality the minute their shoes are off, and her patients agree. A great deal of information can be learned from looking at the length of a man's fingers. Multiple studies have shown that finger length can give you insight into everything from a man's personality to the qualities of another particular body part. For example, one found that men with index fingers that are shorter than their ring fingers tend to be more agreeable and nicer to women. Previous research has shown that this ratio, known as the 2D4D ratio, reveals how much testosterone a person is exposed to while in the womb, with more testosterone exposure resulting in more assertive behavior and longer index fingers. Since testosterone is so key to development, the 2D4D ratio can be used to assess a host of other qualities. Shorter index fingers may also be linked to facial attractiveness, high academic performance, and strangely, a longer penis. But it isn't all good news. Those with shorter index fingers than ring fingers may also be at higher risk for prostate cancer. Regular prostate checkups may be unpleasant, but it's a small price to pay for being pleasant, attractive, smart, and well endowed.